Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of my Clockwork Empires series for this month. I'm going to start off with something a little bit different this time. What you see in front of you is our community map. So for amongst those of us who are regulars on the Gaslamp Games forums, uh, the devs are pretty active there, and they use that for feedback and testing features, and we can ask some questions and stuff. So what we've been doing is we've been playing a succession game. This is not unique to Clockwork Empires. It's popularized early on. There's a very famous succession game that came out of the Something Awful forums, and that was with the game Dwarf Fortress. And in both cases here, the premise is that a player will take control of a colony for a certain amount of time and then pass it off to the next guy. And this continues for many, many turns until something breaks, or everyone dies horribly, or that sort of thing. What we can see here is a fully developed colony that has gone through, we've been passing around in 3-day chunks. So it's been through at least 6 players. I believe one of them is now repeated at this point. And yeah, so this is a colony in the full swing of things. Population of 47 people. So we're on day 22 now, actually. I believe day 21 had just ended. We've got food production going. The very last project, I think, the last overseer actually decided to build the laboratory, but he'd mentioned he didn't have quite enough glass. Anyway, he decided to build it in the shape of a man. He decided to build it as a monument to himself, so it's in the shape of a man. We can see here we've got a lovely middle-class home full of beds for our many, many colonists with an extremely complicated roof. We can see there are corpses everywhere. This colony has suffered many, many bandit attacks. And actually there's a steady stream of bandits. I guess it's kind of buggy. They've been kind of streaming in and out of town, just grabbing stuff. As happens in extended games, and particularly one where the save file has been passed around so many times, a number of persistent bugs have also cropped up. So see, we were visited by the Stalmarkians at one point, and they're kind of frozen in, and I guess we're friendly with the bandits? I don't know what our previous bandit policy was. Yeah, so we've got the bandits hanging around town. These Stalmarkians, I think they're supposed to have left, but they're actually frozen in place. You can see their job is currently walking a long way away. Here's the lower class house. I actually started this playthrough, so I had the honor of having the first 3 days. And I started off with this smallish kitchen and this carpentry workshop and this bunkhouse. But those weren't even done by the time my 3 days were up. Now we have like beer production in full swing. Wow, look at this massive, massive metalworks. And we've got just a ton of resources. Looking good, although we have the job list is a gigantic mess. Still, I mean, stuff's getting done. Not too bad. Let's take a look at the colonists. Some of them are happy, there's a mad guy. A couple of people are sad. How many upper class colonists do we have? None. Wait a second. Okay, maybe something broke the filter buttons here. Here we go. Oh, we literally have 0 upper class colonists. But we do have quite a number of overseers. Oh, somebody installed a nice carpet in here. That's nice. Let's look at Mordecai Robin. His traits are doomed and strange, but he is a staunch traditionalist. Oh, he's quite good at cooking. I guess the workshop must be his assigned workshop. Yeah, so what we've been doing, as each person takes their turn, they'll write up a report of their sequence in the round, and then they'll pass the save file on to the next guy, and so on and so on. And it's made for some really amusing reading. If you want to read about the development of this colony, I'll actually stick the link to the forum thread in the description of this video. And if you have the time, or you just want to read about how this colony took on its current shape, yeah, if that sort of thing interests you, I'd encourage you to check out the forums. And now, on to a little bit of play from me. Alright folks, and here we are on my personal game. Now I've played on a little bit since where we left off at the end of episode 1. Now my personal colony is not nearly as glorious as the community colony, but I think it's going pretty well. We finally got the kitchen up and running and the carpentry, and I'm making bricks, and I've built a space to house all our beds for now. Now I've got a fair number of overseers who all want middle class beds, which have to be built in a middle class house, but that'll have to wait. I mean, I don't have the resources for that stuff right now. As we can see, this is one of the new things with 41B. These guys in the stripy black and white uniforms are prisoners. New class. You'll never get them permanently. They only come over in work crews. And like most prisoners tend to have both the brutish and the of criminal element traits. So all of those have in-game implications. If they are threatened, or if the colony is threatened, they will tend to be more willing to fight back with their fists, for instance, whereas other colonists might run away. So this is a work crew that I got as a prestige favor from the Empire. It costs 3 prestige, I think, and it just gets added on to the bottom of the work crew list here. You can see at the very bottom, Mrs. Rudge's Prudent Widgets. So here's Overseer Rudge and the 2 prisoners who came with her. And they just happen to be... I didn't assign them a specific task, but they do... I suppose I could have by fooling around with the workplace filters here, the work crew filters. I just let them do their own thing, and they'll pick up the spontaneous jobs that pop up on the job list. Right, so when things need farming, you can just see the farm job itself just popped up here. It's not assigned a task the way you would, say, put in an order here at the kitchen to, here's a standing order for lingonberry preserves and cabbage and stuff. The spontaneous jobs, like farming and hauling and stuff, they just pop up on the work crew, and anyone who's not doing something will do it, unless you have specifically set their work crew filters not to do it. So we can see, if we take a look up here at Mrs. Wood's Mindful Crucibles, this is the crew that's assigned to the lumber mill. And when I put in orders at the lumber mill, right now I have a standing order for 7 planks, they will perform that job when there are orders, right? But they will never ever hunt, because hunting is disabled for these guys. But every other type of job, I'm just going to pause here for a sec, is they're eligible for every other type of job. So if they're not busy making those planks, they'll look around for hauling jobs, like hauling these cubes of clay to the stockpile, or construction jobs, building these cots here in the house, etc., etc., and even farming. Now I have an opportunity to call in a favor. I've got 4 prestige for a variety of reasons. For having aristocrats present, I get 1 point for each day, and then also I spent some. Actually, let's take care of this event first. Vestatar has decided she's interested in her genealogy. Oh, that seems fine. So I have 4 prestige. I could spend it on any one of these things. Again, if I spend 2, I can get a naturalist who will survey nearby mineral nodes. It only sticks around for 3 days. I don't have enough to buy the food. Food is permanent, obviously they can't take it back from you. I could get the criminal work party, which I think I'll do, actually. So I've spent 3 prestige, and you'll note here it costs... you know what, I'm going to take a naturalist instead. Got a bunch of mineral nodes nearby that could benefit from surveying, and I've already got a criminal work crew present. Not to mention, I don't have a lot of ongoing construction projects, so I think the population can handle itself at its current level for now. But if there was a big housing boom and I was building a bunch of buildings all at once, or I just really needed that extra labor, I might consider taking even more criminals. Now, criminals do need to eat and sleep, which stresses your colony's infrastructure and food supply and stuff. Early on in the game, actually, let me get back to you. Vestatar has discovered she is related to Philomena Ironflood. What that usually means is those two colonists will become friends, and having friends makes them happy, which means they're less likely to be angry and kick things because they're angry, that sort of thing. Yeah, what I was saying about criminals, even though the criminal crews are temporary, the same applies to your temporary naturalist and the temporary soldiers you can get. All of those guys stick around for 3 days, but in every other respect, they're real colonists, so they still need to eat and sleep. And so what happened to me much earlier in this playthrough is that I wanted labor early on, so I took a bunch of criminals, but I wasn't paying attention to my food supplies. So they nearly ate my colony to death. Everyone was starving. I had to, that's when I put down this cabbage farm, and there used to be a lot of fungus on the ground here. I actually foraged it all up. And for a while, the colony was just subsisting on raw cabbage and raw fungus. It was not a fun time. I've got an immigration option here. I'm gonna just take the usual 2 immigrants. I have enough influence to refuse immigration. I don't need to refuse immigration. Okay, so Zelly Thomp, who is the naturalist we requested with the prestige favor, we have the alert here that she has surveyed, she's generated a report at a survey site. This one specifically. Right, and so now when we zoom in on this little gold arrow, the game will explicitly tell us that if we build a mine here, we will dig up malachite. Now we could probably have inferred that because there's also surface malachite here. And yeah, malachite nodes produce malachite ore, which is the basis for copper, which is used in a lot of metal parts. However, if these nodes were not here and only the arrow was here, we would definitely need a naturalist to come and survey it. Yep, so naturalist Zelly Thomp, I believe, is just going to, for the duration of her stay, she's just going to wander around and automatically do the survey. There's a job that naturalists do. They just survey, or they generate mineralogy reports, which is actually, it's useful, I think, for them to be on temporary loan, because when you don't need anything surveyed, they're just going to lie around town, and they're considered overseers, so they don't get into a work crew. So it's good, actually, that they just come and go, because you don't need them all the time. Oh, Zelly has surveyed. Well, I can guess what this result was. Yep, she's generated a report that says sulfur is available here. And of course, these are sulfur nodes. So she's going to keep surveying those. And when time comes that I'm able to build a mine, I'll have a good general idea of what the area will produce. What to build next? Sleeping areas, I can produce bricks. I guess... Oh, what's this? Bandit raid incoming. 3 bandits are attacking. I don't want to give them my stuff. So, if they ever find their way here, standing policy is to fight them. Now, my military is only 1 guy. So... I can take Hattie from Mrs. Tar's squad, and I'm going to assign her to the military NCO, where she will become a militia person. She won't be very... Oh, she's already quite angry. So nobody's ever happy about being conscripted to the military. It always makes them angry. Unless they already have military training. And occasionally you will get colonists who have the military training feat. Or not feat, trait. And when you assign them to a militarily trained NCO, oh dear. Hold that thought, because bandits are attacking my town. Where is my NCO? What is he? Oh dear. Well, Augustus Bronze Lock. I've got several survey results. Not worried about those right now. So Hattie, I had just assigned her to the militia, but she hadn't actually had a chance to go back to town and pick up a spare weapon. So now we've got a new... This bandit is making off with my 1 iron ingot. I actually started with an iron ingot because I chose the advanced starter kit. Came with some other more advanced building materials. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to take advantage of that because bandits came and raided my colony. And actually, now that I think about it, my colony might not benefit from having... yeah, my colony only has one pistol. And the NCO of any military crew always takes a pistol, whereas all the soldiers tend to take muskets and rifles. The NCO always takes a pistol. So this one pistol that my colony has is actually in use. There is no second weapon for Hattie Borrower to equip yourself with. That being the case, I'm just going to put her back to regular work. Augustus, you were useless. I'm not sure he even noticed we had a bandit raid. So we can see the compiled mineralogical survey results here in the bottom right alert window. We've discovered a source of stone, sulfur, coal, and malachite. Yep, Zelly has just been busy visiting all these survey areas. It's all well and good. We'll be in good shape when time comes to build a mine. Although she appears not to have surveyed this one yet. Ironically, the closest one to town. So, this colony seems to be doing well. Oh, okay, this is the Overseer event. Now, this happens as you earn them, basically. As your colony produces stuff, you'll hit certain milestones. And when you hit those milestones, you will be offered a new Overseer, rather than having to purchase it from the favor menus. I think I'll take a military. So I have the option of a military NCO, the military overseer, or a work overseer. I don't have enough workers to fill out another work crew, but I could definitely use another gun. So I'm going to take the military NCO. The next time I get an NCO, he'll be a military man. And hopefully we'll be in better shape to ward off raiders. Zelly Thomp, still hard at work. Oh, look at this. Did she just... Well, it says she generated a survey. But this... I assume it's because it's in the fog of war that I don't get full... Oh, okay, here it is. So this is the result. The result was she's discovered a vein of gold. If I build a mine shaft here, it will produce gold and, I suspect, malachite. Although gold and malachite are both very valuable. Gold is used in all of the high-end construction, including the upper-class living accommodations. And again, malachite is used to produce copper. More importantly, she found these circular ruins of eerie black rock. Now, these are the remnants of the mysterious Obeliskians, and in some way they are related to... there are rumors of monsters that may or may not plague your town under certain specific circumstances. So, I actually might... it's kind of I kind of want to see them, and I kind of don't want them wrecking my town. But maybe we can revisit that later. Maybe I'll build a mine here. That gold is quite tempting. But that's where we're going to leave this colony this time. It's humming along quite nicely. Here we have a fishman envoy. And this fishman leader is wearing what appears to be a giant sea snail shell for a head, or for a hat on his head. Yes, so the game is Clockwork Empires. My name is Alfred. Clockwork Empires is in early access, currently being developed by Gaslamp Games. We've just hit revision 41, and actually we've been hotfixed all the way up to 41B. Looking good so far, I think. Again, at the beginning of this episode, I did mention the ongoing community succession game. And if you're interested in reading our successive string of overseers, if you want to read their reports on their shifts on the colony, I'll post the link to the forum thread where everybody's been doing that. It's pretty cool, I think. This Fishman's being a jerk and trying to break my gabions. So I have the opportunity to change Fishman policy here. I don't really want to fight them because I've only got one pistol in this entire colony. But I don't really want to talk them. We don't even share language. I'm sure someone else will figure it out on their own. So leave policy up to the individual colonist. And some of them are xenophobic. They hate Fishman. And some of them have desires to meet Fishman. So could go either way, really. So we'll come back to this next episode, but we're going to leave it here. Thanks very much for watching this one. I hope you've enjoyed watching the series so far. Have a good one.